What's up, YouTube gamers? Bonfire here, and welcome to another game site. Today we're playing the Dead Space 3 demo on the Xbox 360, and I'm bringing you some of those first impressions from the gameplay. Now, I played this demo alone in single player, even though there's an option for co-op, and when you do the co-op, apparently it changes some of the dialogue in the cutscenes. Now, one of the most talked about elements in this game are the weapon crafting and microtransactions that go along with it. And when I reached the first workbench where I was able to start weapon crafting, I felt a little overwhelmed. Even though there was a brief tutorial about it, I still felt lost and wasn't completely sure what I was doing. However, I did enjoy the idea of making a new weapon to use and upgrading it, even though the demo I wasn't really able to do much upgrading. Now, the power nodes from previous games seem to be missing with this new weapon crafting system. You can find new in-game items and miscellaneous things to help build your weapons and mod your weapons. I'm sure with a little more practice in the full game, I'll be able to get used to this new system, and I imagine I'll enjoy it, minus the microtransactions. The gameplay feels the same and will be familiar to players of the previous installments. But they have tweaked the controls just a little bit, so much that you'll barely notice to add a couple new mechanics. The first is rolling. I found this pretty useful when you get surrounded by enemies or need to make a quick escape to get some space in order to take them down. The second is crouching, which this came in use when you get to cover during firefight sequences, which I'll get to a little bit later. I'm sure it has more uses, such as getting into tight spaces or maybe even some areas during exploration, and we'll find out in the full game. Lastly is that cover system, and this is a brand new element to the series which seems to be introduced since there are now firefight sequences with other humans, which is a first for the franchise. I found the cover system not as smooth as in other games. Supposedly you press a trigger and you click the cover and are able to shoot over that cover. However, I found it easier just to crouch near the cover and then use the trigger to poke over and fire. I hope it gets smoothed out in the final version because there's going to be a lot of firefights. It's going to get really frustrating not being able to smoothly get in and out of cover. The rest of the gameplay feels just as smooth as it has before, and the stomping feels even better, more fluent, and effective than in previous games. Now, this game also looks good. Its beauty is most noticeable when you're able to look up into the sky and into space. It still feels fun to explore, and that tension of not knowing what's around that corner remains. The music helps to complement this and adds to that tension. I was worried that the horror elements would be lacking in this installment, but for the demo, they seem to be apparent even though it's through action sequences. Now, maybe they're more suspense than horror from what I played, but the element of surprise and tension in the game remain. It seems there are more action sequences in this game than in previous installments. The ones in the demo, it only added to that tension as I mentioned before. Transition to those sequences, which are sometimes quick time events, are seamless. There's no load times loading up to them, and you get right back into the gameplay afterwards. This also helps with the tension building and adding to that horror element in the series has been known for. Overall, the demo felt familiar and had a sense of new to it. It appears that the horror/tension remains within the game, and that the game will be a great mix of familiar concepts with a dash of new. I haven't tried the co-op mode yet, but when I receive this game I will definitely have to try it out. My hesitation on that co-op mode is that you won't have that sense of loneliness that really adds to the horror and tension of these games. My fears of this game being the over-the-top action have been relieved a little, but I still have a slight reservation. And this game was released on February 5th, and expect a full review of the game soon. So be sure to subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment and let me know what you guys think about this game. And until next time, guys, I'm Bonfire, and I'll see you online.